Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Our nutrition nugget actually fits hand in hand with this week's episode. So this week's episode discussed types of eaters, and our nutrition nugget is talking about hunger. Some of you are like, what's hunger? Right? I just eat all the time, or I eat when the clock tells me I'm supposed to eat. And then others of you are like, I eat all the time or I don't eat at all. And it gets confusing because I think we hear conflicting messages between what to be eating, what not to be eating, what guidelines to follow. And when we're quote unquote following a specific plan or trying to follow guidelines prescribed, in whatever plan, we let that often override the directives we're actually receiving from our body. Right? So start quickly with the idea, right now we're going to start quickly with the idea of how to identify hunger. And this looks different for different people. So for some people, it might be like an empty feeling in the stomach. Some people notice that they start thinking about food. Some people might feel sensations in their stomach, maybe like a dull pain or growling. Or some describe it as simply just a desire for food. And then others will say hunger looks like their mood changing, right? They're easily affected by distraction, or they have difficulty concentrating, or that
I get grumpy.
That hangry thing, yeah. Right? We created a word for it, yeah. Right? But sometimes it's not as obvious as being grumpy. Sometimes the first thing we notice is just that, we can't concentrate on the work in front of us. And then we look at the clock and realize, oh, well, that's because it's lunchtime. Mm-hmm. Right? So this feeling can sometimes be a challenge to identify. So here's an exercise for you. And Alex, you know this one. I call it hunger ratings. So in your journal, before and after you eat, you're going to track your hunger rating. Now, I recommend using a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is I'm ravenously hungry. I will eat the wood table, not just the food, right? And 10 is, oh my God, I'm so full, I can't breathe, and I have to unbutton my pants. Okay, 5 in the middle is satisfied or content. So take a minute and write down the words for each number. Like I just gave you 0, 5, and 10. Take a second and put words to each number so that it becomes an easy reference guide. Then, before you eat, look at the list and write the number that describes how you feel. Most likely somewhere between 0 and 5 for the hunger side. And then when you're done eating, look at the list and pick a number for that identifies how you feel, most likely on the satiety side from 5 to 10. Make sense? So this, again, it's not about judgment. It's about just identifying the patterns and learning to check in with our bodies to see how we feel physically and to learn to identify what our hunger feels like. And for that matter, what satiety feels like.
When you're first starting out, how often do you have to, check in to reevaluate these values? Because I can, as I've gone through, it's that, there's like a learning process for even what I think it is versus what it really is.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't add these in right away. Like if you're just starting out tracking, just start with writing down the food. Get that into the habit. And then you can start tracking your hunger ratings. And maybe as you learn to better identify how your body feels, maybe it becomes, a 2.5, right? Maybe there are some nuances in there as you start to learn better how you feel. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you draw a line in the sand and say, hold on, I gotta redo what the words mean for each number, or what the words say for what each number means. And again, I don't think, like, we don't have to get stuck on that, because the piece of it is not what each number means. The piece of it is to start getting in the habit of checking in with how we feel physically and to notice our tendencies.
Yeah.
And once we have an awareness of it, sometimes that's all it takes. And then you can go back to your journal and look at the patterns. How do you feel when you eat different foods? Which meals give you the best energy? Maybe some meals last you a little longer than others. So again, it's like using the hunger ratings as another tool for looking at the patterns in your food journal. Because it's just about the data. There's no judgment. It's the data that we can then have to identify patterns and menus and meals that really work well for us.
Sounds like a great tagline. No judgment, just the data. Just the data.
You're right. I should trademark that too. And last piece here is some people will say, maybe in that moment, like they're just totally unsure, right? Like, I don't know what my hunger rating is. I don't know. Like, this is what I want. So in that scenario, the first question to ask yourself is, am I craving something specific? If the answer is yes, and only that one thing sounds good, it's usually not true hunger. Because in those moments, it's typically not celery that we're craving, right? If the answer is yes, right, you're craving one thing, but even broccoli sounds good, it's likely that you're truly hungry.
The broccoli barometer. This is great.
Right? Ooh, that's another good one. The broccoli barometer. All right. The next question to ask yourself is, does the craving pass? So true hunger usually doesn't pass until your body receives nutrition. So if you're not sure, drink a glass of water and wait 15 minutes. If you still feel the need to eat, it's likely to be true hunger. Finally, you could also do a time check. When was the last time you ate and how much did you have? So remember, a meal is likely, we want a meal to last around 3 to 4 hours and a snack 1 to 2. So if it's been a few hours since the last time you ate, you're probably hungry. But if you just ate dinner 15 minutes ago, it's less likely to be true hunger and more emotions or boredom or something else. Right? And I actually see this a lot when it comes to like the afternoon snack. So sometimes, I've had many a client who will beat themselves up for the afternoon snack because, they're like, I shouldn't have eaten between lunch and dinner or whatever. But the truth is, like, if lunch was at noon or 1 o'clock and dinner is at 7 or 8, it makes sense that you would be hungry to eat a snack around 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So again, sometimes just that time check can help us say, no, this is real and appropriate and a sign that my metabolism is going and I want to be doing this.
Yeah, the gulf between lunch and typical dinner is hilarious compared to like breakfast and lunch. Like I think that's a funny thing.
Exactly. So here we are, our nutrition nugget on hunger. You're going to start with your hunger ratings this week, scale of 0 to 10. Write out what each number means in words, and then track it before and after each meal. Do this for the next couple weeks. And then your next step is to share what you notice. So post it in our Facebook group, send us a message. This is an eye-opening experience, and I cannot wait to see what everybody notices. So be sure you share it with us. And with that, Alex, thank you again for joining us today.
Oh my gosh. This was
so fun to have you.
This was great. You're great. I really appreciate being here and the tidbits and just going through and just reaffirming the practice. I mean, it's all part of it. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Our Facebook page is at the same handle, and we want to hear from you. So please submit your questions, your ideas, your takeaway videos. And this is also a great way to reach out to learn more about working with me, like Alex.
Yay.
So everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.